Good morning, Joshua Tree. Hi, and welcome. I'm Buster Baker, Buster of the Desert. And today, I'm in the historic Beatnik Lounge. When I talk about Joshua Tree, I like to talk about and interview musicians. Today won't be any exception. One thing I have noticed, though, that it's rare, well, pretty much zero, the times that I've met someone that actually has said, yes, I was born and raised in Joshua Tree. Just doesn't happen. It seems like everybody's a transplant from somewhere. My guest today is no exception. With me today is percussionist John Juan Smolinski. Hello, John Juan.
Howdy, Buster. Howdy, Joshua Tree.
Yeah. So, John Juan, where are you from?
Detroit, or Detroit.
Detroit, the France city. Aha. Yeah, very
City
good.
on the river, the bankrupt city.
And were you actually born in?
Yes, I was. I was born, well, actually, I was born just outside of Detroit, but I grew up in Detroit. I was born in Dearborn, Michigan. That's Ford World Empire.
I was just going to say, big automobile area. It's Ford mainly, right?
Yeah. He owned all that land, and I was born actually because the doctor was assigned to Dearborn General Hospital, so that's what it says on the birth certificate.
I understand there's some really nice areas in Dearborn too. Some big homes from that era.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of really wealth. There's a lot of wealth in there for the auto magnates and stuff. That their homes are on there.
Yeah.
The Henry Ford House, which now is mostly a museum and a tour place. You can go onto the lands, onto his gardens and lands out there. I mean, they still owned a huge piece of property. You go out there and wander around. Pretty nice stuff.
Neat. And as I introduced you, you're a percussionist. When did you first get interested in percussion?
Hey, Lucy! You remember the Lucy, the I Love Lucy?
Oh, yeah, Desi Arnaz.
Yeah. Ricky Ricardo, man.
The congas.
Ricky Ricardo. He used to go out there and play that, right, and that influenced me heavily.
Really?
So my first conga was actually what they called a Ricky Ricardo.
Really?
It's the really small, it's a re quinto, which is below the quinto, which is the small drum in the conga set. So I had picked up one in Austin, Texas for $99 to bang on at poetry reads because I'm involved with poetry. So I used to play it with a group every now and then called the Blue Plate Poets. Do a little backup on the congas for poetry. So that's how I got into hand drums.
Did you do Babalu too?
Babalu, baby, that was the big influence. Babalu!
Did you wear the habanero Cuban shirts?
I got some of those down the road. Yeah, man, those are cool. Those are the rage.
They work well in Detroit. Well, lovely shirts. In fact, I have a couple myself. So, about how old were you when you first, was experiencing Desi Arnaz and?
Oh man.
Well, how old was you when you got that first conga?
I was in my 40s when I got that first conga.
40s, we were only like.
Well, I grew up playing accordion.
Oh no!
See, I'm Polish and German, so every Polish and German kid gets an accordion. Here's your harp, welcome to heaven. Here's your accordion, welcome to hell. And so my parents got me an accordion, and I took accordion lessons with an old Italian gentleman.
Nice.
He used to bring me green peppers and taught me how to eat raw green peppers.
Did you really learn how to play it?
Yeah, I was pretty good, but the problem was it was like as the 60s approached and everybody started playing electric guitar and the Beatles, I felt like a real playing the accordion.
Yeah, well.
And I quit, and I now, later I beat myself up because as I got older I discovered Cajun music, Tejano music, where all the stuff is accordion-centric, and it was like, man, I could have been playing all that stuff.
My grandfather rented an accordion for me when I think I was about, 7 years old or something like that. I hid it behind the couch.
There you go.
Well, I drug it, actually, because it was huge. Yeah. And believe me, our family never watched Lawrence Welk either, so right. I didn't get the whole thing. So, okay, in Detroit, you went from the accordion to the congas.
Yep, picked up at requinto, and then eventually I took, actually studied Afro-Cuban conga technique with a guy named Miguel Gutierrez. who had a band called Truth. It was a world music band with a lot of Afro-Latin jazz influence. And so I studied conga technique with him back in the Detroit area, and then some African drumming, and built my own djembe with a guy named Paul Militello out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, with Rhythm Family drummers.
And you'd mentioned to me that you played some regular club areas over in Detroit.
Yeah, I used to play, I used to do the street musician busker thing at a big marketplace, about 10 times, of course, the size of the Joshua Tree Saturday Market with stalls and all this, but it's called Eastern Market in Detroit. That's where you got all the slaughterhouses and the butchers, and but it's become a very hip area, and they have flower shows, all kinds of stuff, so there's huge stalls, and street musicians can go out there and play. So we used to go out and play for a couple hours on Saturday and pull down $40-50 a piece, gas money and food. But there's also a place, music, a lot of jazz clubs down there, one in particular, Burt's Jazz. And I used to play there with a guy named Howard Glazer, who's a big blues musician friend of mine back in Michigan. I'd go, pound it out on the congas with Howard. A lot of clubs, a lot of venues, a lot of coffee houses back there. I used to play summers with a band down in an area called Wyandotte, and I forget the name of the venue, but it was on the river. They had a river boat that used to go up and down. The people would leave sober, come back totally drunk. And they had a restaurant. We used to play out on the deck, so I'd spent a few summers playing there Friday and Saturday night with a band playing congas out on the deck. So stuff like, and I did my rock and roll days playing Sweet Home Alabama, and
Well, it sounds like fun. Sounds like you had a good time.
Well, yeah, made a few bucks.
So originally, when I first started here, I mentioned that nobody's born here.
Yeah.
How the heck? What prompted you to come to Joshua Tree area up here?
Well, I served in the Marines out of Camp Pendleton, so I liked the California area, and I'd wandered out the LA area and bypassed there a few times, and so, I always thought it was interesting. But then when I lived in Arizona, I worked on the Grand Canyon for quite a few years, and in Flagstaff, and I used to go to a Tibetan Buddhist center up in LA around, I guess, 3rd and Fairfax, or whatever it was, and I would always make sure on my way back to Flagstaff to stop off in the Joshua Tree area, just because I was attracted to it and I liked the vibe and the Joshua trees and the desert. And in fact, I still have a couple pictures of me out in the Joshua trees from back in the 80s. It's kind of funny that my then ex-girlfriend's second ex-wife took of me. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So you settled over here, and how long have you been out here now?
It's going to be a year. We're coming up. This is auspicious doing this interview today, but my year anniversary here in the desert's coming up September the 9th.
Oh, terrific, terrific. And since you've been here, you've been filling in, playing with some different musicians.
Yeah, I come here and jam with the guys here
That's
at the Beatnik Lounge whenever there's events going on. I've performed with Rita Kripa at the Shakti Fest here in Joshua Tree on Robbie Rob. I made a number of good musician friends. Currently am doing some CD conga work for KK Robertson, along with Jorge Bassman Carrillo, Kyle Hansen on drums, a number of backup singers, KK doing vocals of her own original music with master audio engineer Eric Ryan here. He just moved out to Landers from Joshua Tree, but he's playing guitar, so that's going on too. So yeah, I'm having a good time. The drums and playing the hand drums kind of, introduced me to people here. Mm-hmm. That was a good icebreaker.
Yeah. So you're happy you're here?
I'm happy, man. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're gonna wind up this segment here with John Juan beating it.